Welcome to Chefing Beyond the Kitchen. I'm your host, Mogau. Join us for conversations with amazing people doing amazing things in food. It's all in the detail. Luxury event planner, international award-winning catering specialist, businesswoman of the year, principal designer and curator, South Africa's most sought-after luxury caterer, having produced some of the finest and elite corporate and social celebrations the world has ever seen, the go-to caterer for the rich and famous. Today I have the pleasure of sitting down with CEO and creative director, Vicky Crease. Hello there and welcome to another episode of Chefing Beyond the Kitchen. Today we are joined by caterer extraordinaire, luxury caterer Vicky Crease. Thank you so much for joining us today.
I'm so happy to be here.
So I think we'll start with some icebreakers before we get into the actual conversation. So tell me, when's the last time you smiled and why?
You know that I'm a big smiler. I have a big face anyway, and it's just very animated, but I'm generally a really happy person. So there are many things that will bring me joy, and they're usually little things. Yesterday I got an amazing phone call from a client that's become a good friend, and he said to me, Vix, he said, you know all the travels and what have you to Mexico? He says, I've got a deal coming up, he says, and I want you to lead a tour to Mexico because we want to do some campaign with one of the brands. Amazing. And I was like, really? So yeah, that made me smile a lot.
That would make me smile.
That would make anybody smile. And so those are big things. And then, you know, I've taken to kind of swimming every morning, which is weird for me because like if I swim twice a year, it's a lot. And I decided that I need to get into shape and kind of keep up this thing. And also it's been so hot.
Yeah,
so
it's been terribly hot, my goodness.
And just really immersing myself in a little bit of a healthier kind of way of life.
Nice.
And I mean, you know this industry, it's fast paced and it's late nights and you're up at, especially with events, you're up at parties. So it's definitely something that, you know, makes me smile. That does. And then also being healthy and mindful and spiritual. I'm a very spiritual person. So I thought about your question and I was like, I got a message from a very, very holy woman that I know up in northern Greece.
Amazing.
And she wished us like a happy Lent. And I got the biggest smile on my face and I was like, oh my God, I'm so remembered and loved. And that just made me happy.
That's so precious.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So what is your favorite thing right now? And it can be anything.
Fashion and food, like the combination of that. I love. There's just so many amazing artists and designers, and you know I have quite a close relationship with them, and I find that there's such an impact and a correlation with food, and bringing to life the events as well. So a lot of what you know when I started was the catering side, which has now evolved obviously into full-blown event planning, which was a natural evolution from my clients that were like, Vicky, you know we love the food, but can you do some of the flowers? Can you style the decor? And so that was amazing. So, you know, I'm loving impressive stuff. We're like all about the gram and we're all about, you know, looking fabulous. And so fashion, art, design, travel, food, for me, it's all one. And yeah, that's what I love.
You know, when you said that fashion, art, food, design, I suddenly saw your book.
We've been talking about this, right?
Yeah. I suddenly saw the Vicky
happen.
Crease book that's about everything that's beautiful. So you have to make it happen. I
want to make it happen. I'm an aesthete. So everything I see and things that I touch, and it could be the smallest thing, you know, it could be an arrangement of flowers next to my bedside table. I've got a beautiful magnolia tree at home my mother planted years ago.
Stunning.
It blooms and it's got the most fragrant, like incredible smell. And, you know, so simple things, or a crusty loaf of bread, or a jar of olives, and I make my own olives. And, you know, these are simple things, the way that they're presented and just really immersing myself in beauty. I love it. The way we eat at home, I mean, every day is just, it's not a 3-course set meal. We're a family, you know.
But it's beautiful.
It's beautiful. It's on a beautiful platter. I don't save stuff for when it's like good.
Love that.
You know, every day is good, like every day is special. And yeah, I've brought up my kids like that, my 3 sons. And hopefully now with, you know, when they make their families, these daughter-in-laws, talking of makotis, They, I know, are going to kind of follow in that dream.
Yeah, I even have a title for you.
Oh.
The Book of Beautiful Things by Vicky Crease.
Oh, now that's a
Hey,
title.
girl. Yeah. So make it happen.
I will. I love that energy.
I'm going to hold you to it. I'm
I
that
love
person
that.
in many people's lives where when I'm calling, I'm like, you said you wanted to do this thing.
Yeah.
So what's the timeline? How far are you down that timeline?
You're inspiring me so very much, because it is something that's been in the pipeline for so long, from the time of my TV show, you know, and I think now's the time to do it. You really have inspired me, Mogau.
Okay. Next, I see Vicky Crease will be at her book launch.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's
For
it.
sure. How's for you pushing me?
Yeah.
Which I have to say, not because it's you, but you are so impressive.
Thank
You are
you.
anything but lazy. I mean, communicating for us to set this up. You sent messages, email, WhatsApps, Instagram, and I must say,
A
short of
pigeon.
sending a pigeon,
I was like, I am going to get Vicky Crease. That's who I want, and that's who I'll get.
and
Here you
so,
are.
but what I'm trying to say is, thank you for that, but you are so determined, and it just made me realize why you're so successful is because
Thank you.
of the consistency, the persistence, and the passion. So, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. She's so sweet. Who are the 3 people you would want to host for dinner and why? And because you're Vicky Crease, what would you serve?
Oh my goodness, that's a challenge. That is a
I
bigger
know.
challenge than who to choose, right? So, you know, it's an interesting one. You know, I had a little bit of a thought about this. And short of saying my 3 wonderful sons and husband,
People that aren't related to you.
people
Maybe I
that are
should
not
have added
related,
that.
because those are my usual dinner guests, and we love each other. Certainly, Oprah Winfrey is one. We have done events for her, and I've
Amazing.
kind of experienced her from afar. And she is so inspiring, I think, to everybody, as a woman, as a business leader, as a mind, you know, magician.
True.
So I think she's phenomenal. The other one that I think would be amazing is Athena Calderon. She has a brand called I Swoon, and everything about her is swoon-worthy. I love her cooking style. She dresses phenomenally. She's based in New York, and she's got an incredible book. I mean, if you say a book, that is definitely, you know, one to be looking at.
Amazing.
And I love her because she's also got an incredible business brain. So now she's got a range of cutlery and aprons and art and candles. And I just love that. I love that it's gone beyond just making a book because I think
Yeah.
I'm stylish and I think the world should know. And, you know, she's sharing ideas. Everything she does is community. And I'd love to engage with her and just pick her brain. And then an old classic, obviously, just to bring a male in as well, because, you know, I'm very much about women. So let's throw in a guy, would
Yeah,
be Ferran
let's do a guy.
Adria, who, as we know, has had 3 Michelin stars. He really was the father of molecular gastronomy, which I think at the time was so immersive and just so different. Today we eat a lot more classically and we'll eat a lot more casually, you know, and I, like, for example, my style is very family style, but there are moments where we want to make an impression. So I think the 3 of them together with me, I think we could have some very interesting food business conversations.
Yeah, but what would you serve those 3 guests?
Geez, that's a tough one. Lamb. What else? Greek.
Yes. Yes.
Lamb, a huge bowl of tzatziki, handmade pita bread, the most incredible Greek salad. I know it's banal and it may be usual, but like homegrown tomatoes. I'd probably freeze a tomato and make like a frozen granita just to shave on top. So I like a little bit of theatre. I would definitely bring in something like gimmicky, you know, a little bit of like a whack, maybe a huge bowl of chocolate mousse, and then like serve it, you know, in a bowl, and then grate fresh Calabar chocolate on top of that, or something like that. And then I would definitely bring in a little bit of Greek. I'm very authentic.
I love that. I love that.
And
you
I love
stay
our culture, and I
true
would-
to you, yeah. And I love family styles type serving.
Yeah.
So, yeah, full marks. Full marks.
I mean, it would be difficult to impress them, but then also, I often think, you know, sometimes people say to me, Vicky, we love you so much. How can we possibly have you for lunch or dinner? It's going to be hard. And I said to them, I'm such a basic girl. I was going to say bitch, but I didn't. But, you know, for me, the fact that I'm in your home, the fact that you've gone out of your way, you've thought about considering what I would like, that's enough for me, your hospitality and your generosity. And I eat very simply at home as well. I mean, oftentimes we're doing a grilled chicken breast and salad, and then, you know, we'd be doing, you know, a flame grilled fish.
Yeah.
But yeah, don't be scared.
Yeah,
I'm intimidated, guys.
I can so relate because so few people cook for
you.
people that cook. So
Yeah.
I just appreciate that someone's cooking for me and I don't have to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Amazing. Okay, now we're getting into it. Now time
The
to
real
bare your
stuff.
soul. So I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with what a caterer is, but what is a luxury caterer? What do you do as Vicky Crease? Tell me about your career and what it is that you actually do for a living.
Well, that's such an interesting question because my sister often says to me, she says, I hate when you say you're a caterer. She says, you're not a caterer. She's
right.
Because catering has this reputation of there's someone with greasy hair slogging behind some marquee with no running water, and it's just like so unglamorous. And it can be that. And I'm not going to make any kind of assumption that it's not that.
Yeah.
It will often be that. But I think when you get to a point where you are contributing and creating and inspiring menus, and from that often inspiring other people within the event environment to say, well, oh, so the food's going to go in this direction. Let's create a massive canvas of art and let's use these kind of chairs and let's do lighting. And when those synergies come together, that's when it becomes luxury. And also it becomes luxury when you respect your client enough and respect yourself enough to use the best of the best. Because if you're going to try and cut corners and you're not going to use the best ingredients and the best produce that's available, you know, a professional team that's going to assist you to make this luxury, it will never be that. And then, and I mean, I use the word respect, and I really, you know, mean that very honorably, is that when you're working with a big international brand, which we're so lucky to be working with, and at a time that, you know, we started catering. I've been in this business for 28 years, so it wasn't the luxury caterer that it is today. We started literally from my house making cakes. And, you know, and the evolution was, yes, formidable. It took a lot of hard work, but, you know, when you start getting noticed, but really giving out luxury vibes, you have to dress the part, you have to believe the part.
Yeah.
You cannot be luxury if you're not doing all these things. And it doesn't mean only money, it also means luxury in your soul. Saying that I understand luxury, you know, reading up about it and learning what is that. I can tell you it's not always glamorous. We say that, you know, this as well, you know, but to be able to really see quality and push the envelope and combine items that are more expensive with less expensive, and use the budget that you have in the best way possible. You know, often luxury brands are also cost sensitive.
Yeah.
But you need to really see and understand from a creative point of view and from a psychological point of view what the brand wants from you. And that, thank God, my psychology degree actually really was useful in this. It was useful in this instance. So I studied psychology, and then I did a marketing degree. So I think the two together really have just been, you know, something that's very successful. I'm not trained in food, so I'm not a trained chef. I'm a very conscious foodie. And
I love that.
Yeah,
Conscious foodie.
And I love food. I mean, I love everything about food. I love the produce, I love finding it, I love tasting it, I love cooking it, and then I love presenting it.
Yeah.
You know, so that's really my passion.
Sure. So it sounds to me that with your job, it's not just about coming in at the very end when everything's been decided. Now, what's the menu? What are you cooking? It sounds to me there's more to this design process.
Absolutely.
So take me through that process. When a client comes to you, this is the event that they want you for. Where do you even start?
So that's a very interesting question, because I think the biggest thing is the conversation and kind of professional intimacy with the client and saying, what is it we're trying to achieve here? So if it's a wedding, what are we trying to achieve? Are you wanting to be very impressive? Are you trying to be understated? Are we trying to be exotic? It's the same with any type of brand that we'd be working with.
Yeah.
By the way, we don't only do luxury, right? We also do basic stuff. We run
I've only
beautiful
ever seen
corporate
the luxury
cafes.
stuff.
We run corporate cafes, we run airport lounges, we run daily conference packages. But even there, the ethos of our brand is that it is luxurious. And sometimes, yes, it's the ingredients. It may be in the platter that we're presenting it in, or the apron that the waiter is wearing.
Sure.
So that's the kind of the vibe that's giving off. It's giving off, elegant and clean.
Excellent.
Yeah, and excellence, really. But so the design process really is governed by what the exact theme is and what the product is. I mean, we did a beautiful event last night, and it was a fragrance brand, and the notes were given to us that there were amber and oud and frankincense, and now Vicky, let's make a menu. So you're thinking, okay, I need to find out a little bit more about the consistency and the provenance of these, precious items, and how do they match the food. So when people are at the event, I can often visualize in my mind's eye how they'll be seated, how they're going to feel. And I'm lucky enough to have been invited to so many events, so I know how a guest feels.
Sure.
I know that when you're dressed up, how big do I want my snack to be? I said to my kitchen the other day, I said, guys, look, I'm dressed for the Oscars. The tarts are too big. Let's make them a little bit smaller. And they were like, you got it. So I'm very close to the team as well. And depending on the size of the job, obviously we brainstorm. I have a wonderful creative team, a great culinary team as well. And, often we'll say, oh, we're so excited. We got like a, pitch to do a Gucci event or whatever event, it is. And we're like, oh, okay, great. Like, what's the latest thing? And from there, we'll create the menus. And also, we're very diverse in our cultures. We're very diverse in ages. I mean, because I've been in the industry so long, I have a certain wisdom because of all the mistakes we've made and all the successes we've had. And then I have like young, cool kids, and they come with so much energy and so much enthusiasm. And like, Vicky, we've got to cut up this crap, and we're going to do like this is what we're going to do, you know. So the combination of both really makes for what could only be a winning formula.
Yeah, I mean, I love that the entire process is holistic.
Yes.
So it's not just about the food, it's about every sort of experience that the person is going to have at that event.
Exactly.
And you actually think about that.
You got to think about it, you got to feel it, you got to really feel it. And I have to say, I do think it's a gift, and I'm really grateful to God. I'm a deeply spiritual person, and I feel like this was something that was given to me. And I've taken, and I really have taken that, and I have so much gratitude, so, yeah.
So now I'm going to ask you to take me back to the beginning.
Yes,
how it all started. How did Vicky Crease become Vicky Crease? I mean, your name is synonymous with quality, excellence, beauty.
I like these words. Keep them coming.
Yeah. No, totally. If I hear, oh no, you're coming to this event, do you know Vicky Crease is doing the food? Immediately, yes. Immediately, yes. So how did you get here? Tell me, how did it all start?
Okay, so growing up, I think any avid cook will say I was watching my mother or my grandmother. My mother is a phenomenal cook. She taught me what it is to have good ingredients. To this day, she's a bit snobby about it. She'll be like, I don't like this cheese you bought. It's not the real feta cheese. I'll be like, Mama, okay, but it's Danish. It's not Greek. So she really kind of instilled that. And then when I started studying, I started law because I always thought I was going to be this bossy lawyer, and I love a bit of a fight. So my husband will attest to that. But I studied law, and I realized this is not for me. I'm not loving this. And I then swapped over to psychology and sociology. Started loving that. It was a lot more about like delving into into people and understanding people. And at the same time, my mother's like, you have to have more degrees. I was like, but I'm doing this because you're going to do marketing. I was like, cool. brilliant degree. And why I'm saying about that is because it really helped in future, with everything that I did. And I often say, nothing goes wasted. Nothing goes wasted.
Yeah, every detour
every
is taking
skill,
you somewhere. Yeah.
Every opportunity, you have to see it as something that's going to reward you and feed you in future. And I got married. My husband, we've been married 30 years, bless him, he made me a good cook. I must credit him because he would often complain in the beginning. He'd be like, no, I'm not loving this. So I'd like run around and try and do it better. And when I had my kids, I started really baking and doing cakes from home and that kind of thing. And then on the weekends, my friends would say, well, I'd like that. So I'd bake them. And sometimes I'd be baking like 10 cakes a weekend. So my husband said, Vix, you know what? He said, do you realize how much you're baking? Yeah. He says, why don't you start charging? And then people had the confidence to say, great, if you're charging, then I want 5 and the next one and the next one. So we started doing that. My background was, when I started working with my mother, was a bakery for the mining industry. So we were doing like 100,000 sandwiches a day.
Sure.
We took one of the big national bakeries out of business in Klerksdorp because the mines were their biggest client. And then when we came along, it was kind of weird because this was like the early 90s and it was like these 2 Greek women on the mines. It was a bit uncomfortable for the men that were there.
I can imagine.
Yeah. And we kind of broke barriers with that. And that felt good because it was, 2 dynamic women. My father actually passed when we were very young, my sister and I. I was 3 and she a year. And so we had this woman, stronghold that woman had to survive and we were just going to be successful. And so that's a little bit on the food side. And then with the cakes, then people would say, can you make platters? And I'd style them so beautifully. I mean, I was alone and I'd place every single olive and every single piece of Parma ham, on beautiful containers and platters. I'd use everything from my own collection at home. And so that grew. And then I was given the confidence by a very spiritual person. He said to me, you have to leave where you are. You can't work from home because your business is going to grow. And I think even just the word and me believing that and maybe making it a reality, I felt like all of that worked together to then give me the impetus and the confidence to grow and go forth. It really helps that I love acting. So that was great because I kind of would really, be comfortable with people. I love people. And I'd be comfortable at parties. I mean, my husband often says, Vicky, there could be nothing better for you than being with people all the time. He's like, please don't get us invited. I don't want to do it. So for me, that was quite wonderful. And it was a huge, outlet, creative outlet.
True.
So, that was a little bit of the history of the business. And then we just grew and grew. And as, the brand started being more aware of us, I was featured in magazines and...
Yeah, and you did your TV show.
And my TV show, we did 3 seasons of Fresh and Simple, which was really exciting. And that was amazing because that explored food and decor. So it would be, very often people would say, well, this is how you make the food, and then what are you doing with it? And for the show, the producers said to me, we want to see how you style it, like, how are you going to do it? So I would then do the food and then show you, this is how a Mexican party is going to look, or this is how we're going to do an Italian al fresco evening, or Mother's Day, and we did a baby shower. So it was very themed. And there was such a good response to that.
We need that show back on the telly.
Right?
Yeah. We really do.
We should.
Yeah.
There's so many new ideas. I mean, we're talking 10 years ago. I look at it today and I'm like, girl, there's so much stuff I can do,
Okay, new season's coming up.
New season's coming up. Yeah.
With the book. That would be so incredible. The show on the TV.
Can you be my guru? Can you please just give me ideas? I love your energy.
We have so much to talk about after this. So you've told us about your educational background and how instrumental you think it is to the success of Vicky Crease.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. I think one of the things we're trying to do with this podcast is just to expose people on what else is possible outside of being in like the traditional kitchen, which is not easy.
Yes, and not always glamorous. And like, we were saying earlier, is people think that, when you're cooking, there's only one dimension. And there are so many dimensions and facets to food.
So many.
Very often I look at, there are hotel chefs, there are restaurant chefs, there's ship, you know, ship chefs that work on boats. There are
TV chefs.
TV chefs, famous, amazing, gorgeous TV chefs. And then you get catering chefs.
Yeah.
And you know, I like to think that it's glamorous. It's probably the least glamorous of all chefing because it's the most difficult, in my opinion.
So now I'm going to ask you the really hard question. Of the many incredible events that you've catered, I mean, luxury, beautiful, stunning design, which has been your favorite? Well, is among your favorites? Yeah.
I'm stumped. I'm so stumped.
Give me two that you really loved, and tell me why. Did you enjoy curating the menu, the whole design as a whole? Because you don't just do the food.
Correct. So it would be the whole thing.
Yeah.
There's so many. I mean, this is such a difficult question.
Okay. In the past year.
Give
me two.
I have to say one of the very beautiful and luxurious ones we did was for Rolex.
Yeah.
I
think I saw that.
Good. It was a winter event, and we have worked with Rolex before, but not on this scale. And what was exciting about this is that we were given the brief to curate the entire event. So it was at the rooftop of a very iconic Johannesburg building, and it was one where Switzerland was watching every kind of thing. Our client was so trusting and so spectacular that it was like, Vicky, give us Vicky Crease on steroids, you know? So that was wonderful. And just the fact that we were allowed to really, you know, delve into real luxury and, you know, look at things like, I mean, we had beautiful like cashmere pashminas at the top of the rooftop because it was, you know, in winter. And obviously the higher up you are, the windier it is and what have you. To then journeying people down into the restaurant where we had created like a floral fantasy garden. It was huge, it was massive. And then there were the stands with all the watches that obviously are so limited, you can't even buy them now. You can't even kind of get them. There's such Rolex watches, there's such a waiting list.
Yeah.
And just for people that are in the industry and that are customers that would be able to view them. Not without any challenges. There were plenty. Obviously, security, you know, is one thing that we don't always have the requirement for. You know, I mean, these are highly like guarded items, and so added to that were bomb sweeps and, you know, security guards all over the place. So you're trying to like make everything, and people are like standing and looking at you.
Men in black.
Literally men in black. And then beautiful entertainment, lighting. The building itself is it's the tallest building in Africa, actually. So we could do a lot with the lighting. The ceilings are really high, so we hung, you know, beautiful installations. Amazing. The crockery, the cutlery, the napkin, the menus. So that was one that was amazing. Extremely tiring because obviously the logistics that go behind it, you know, and to get to that point. And I often say to the team that the event is the smallest part of the event because the planning and
the lead up to the event.
Exactly, the logistics that go behind it and like the meticulous kind of schedules that you stick to, that is bigger than the event itself. The event must be flawless. The catering needs to be fantastic. And I have to tell you that it's very, very pressurizing to be Vicky Crease. Because you cannot mess up.
No, you can't.
It's tough.
No, you can't.
You know, and it keeps me on my toes. And thankfully, I do love a challenge. And I do like, you know, I am competitive. So I like to know that, like, Vicky, this is it. And I need to tell you, I had a meeting with one of the corporate cafes that we run with the team there. And I said to them, there is no competition other than yourself. Because anybody else, you know, cannot visualize what you can visualize. And nothing, you know, we say is personal. It's for the greater good of everybody.
Absolutely.
So it's something that I've always lived with, is that how do I better Vicky? You know, it's like boring. Like this is like Vicky Crease, like circa 2005 or whatever. Like what is Vicky doing today? Well, how is Vicky leading, and how are you inspiring? You know, who do we look up to? You know, so this is, you know, what I feel.
I hear you,
And then other iconic moments, I mean, you know, the Prince Harry thing will always stick out because they called us directly and
Yes,
said,
you catered for Prince
Harry
Harry.
a few times.
Yeah.
The last one actually just before they exited the royal family. We did that event here in South Africa.
Amazing.
In Johannesburg.
Yeah.
That interview that Megan did, we were doing the event, and it wasn't the food, it was all of it.
Amazing.
And what was lovely about that is that aside from them being royal, yes, but the actual collaboration with brands like Nando's that brought in spectacular art. I mean, they're so well known for their art. You know, there were brilliant community projects that we brought on board,
Sure.
you know, to kind of influence and showcase their work. So that was really nice. And then obviously the food was, I think, pretty good.
You have such a fabulous life, honestly.
I hope so. I try.
You do.
It's not always fabulous. I mean, anybody on any type of social media,
Sure.
you know, will tell you. But I really have everything. And we did a workshop 2 weeks ago on this like breakthrough kind of wellness thing, which I love, by the way, as well, because I like to always examine where I am and, you know, keep myself in check. And the educator said, you lack nothing. You have everything. And literally a room of 60 people sat there and were like, yes, we have everything. So what is everything? Even if it's been able to see things or touch or smell, that is everything.
That is actually everything.
We have everything. We lack nothing.
That's true.
So it's kind of stuck here, and I'm like, I know everything I have.
Yeah, live in gratitude.
Yeah, it is.
So speaking of leadership and teams, it must take a lot to put together, you know, a winning team that's really gonna really provide the standard that Vicky Crease is known for. So how do you go about putting together a team that's gonna deliver every single time? Because I'm guessing there is no margin for error. Everything must be perfect.
And yet mistakes do happen,
and yet mistakes do happen, But I'm guessing people have very high expectations for Vicky Crease.
Yes.
So how do you put together the team that's going to support you?
So, look, Mogau, I mean, the business is so old that the teams have evolved over the years. Some people were there from the beginning. Some people have come and left, gone on and done their own projects, whether within the industry or something different.
Something else,
a lot have become mothers, you know, have made families. Some people have left the province and gone elsewhere. So the teams have evolved, you know, and good or bad, the business is called Vicky Crease. So people expect Vicky Crease.
Yes.
And very often I'll say to the team that, you know, we are a representation of what this brand is. And the brand is bigger than the person. The person is one person, it's me. But there is such an amazing team. And it's never lost on me the contribution that everybody makes. You know, I would not be able to go out and say to people, we are going to conceptualize the most amazing wedding. Like, it's going to be phenomenal. If I didn't have the confidence to know that here behind me are people that are actually going to be making the phone calls to order the furniture, or booking, you know, a venue, or ordering food to cook, you know. And I often say the most important person in any kitchen is the sculler. Because let me tell you, if you don't have clean pots and pans and people are not taking your trash out,
you're done.
Man, you are done.
Good luck
you
with
can
that
be
event.
as creative as you want.
Yeah.
You need a team. And I think for me, it's interesting because I'm not a formally trained chef, but I have learned, I think, so much that trained chefs will come to me and go, Vicky, you know, wow, I mean, you've done things in such an upside down way, but it works, you know. So I've learned obviously the basic skills. And I think it's important to have basic skills. You know, if you want to go into this industry, whether it's catering or chefing or food styling, whatever it is, I think one needs, you know, some type of education, but also a passion and a love. So you need to be looking at magazines and going online and reading articles and, you know, scrolling through Instagram and getting ideas that you will then make your own, right? And as far as, like, you know, people saying, oh, this one's copied your idea and whatever, you can never do that because you will bring your own soul into it. You're going to use your own ingredients. You're going to have your own, you know, client market. It's never, for me, that's never a threat. You know what I mean?
That's true.
And you know, so that's one thing. But with regard to a team, it really does take a lot of psychology to also work and make sure that everybody's getting along, that everybody's happy, because obviously there are times where the kitchen gets really hot. You know what I mean? And, you know, tempers fly and you've got to kind of be big enough to see that. And I think also, you know, with age, one sees what battles to fight and what not to fight. But I'm just really, truly grateful for the team. From my, you know, Scala drivers, the kitchen staff, the managers, the coordinators that plan the stuff, you know, all the suppliers. Again, without suppliers, you're nothing. So I think the biggest thing is just to be humble, but determined in what your vision is.
Yeah, and relationships.
If you don't know what you want, you are not going to convince anybody else.
True. That is so true. So it all starts with you. And
has
then,
to start with
you know,
the
relationships
confidence.
Are everything.
Correct.
I love that.
And also having said that, as glamorous as it may seem, you know, my role is the marketing role, the public relations role. And it's a big role because,
it is.
For example, without someone going out and saying, you are that face of that business and getting the business, then how can we provide jobs for everybody else? How are we going to get the jobs if we don't have a personality? Not me, I'm saying generally, if you look at any big personality, you know, that is how, you know, one has to respect that place.
Somebody has to be the custodian of the brand.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Correct. Yeah.
I believe that 100%.
Yeah.
So you wear many hats. You are mother, wife, businesswoman, designer, coordinator, curator.
Making me feel really good on like a random Wednesday.
You should feel good. You should feel good. You
Thank
do
you.
everything. What does rest look like to you? Like, what are you doing when you're not working, if you're ever not working?
Again, a tough one. You're throwing some tough ones, right? So, for example, on a Sunday, I'll always go to church. That is like for me a time where my phone is off and I'm focused.
Okay.
The other type of rest obviously is travel. So we have a home on one of the Greek islands, which was a family home, but we've now kind of made it a little bit more comfortable in terms of the design and the aesthetic that we love.
Yeah.
It's on the island of Serifos, a very obscure island, and it's almost like going into a village. You know, like you would go somewhere, I don't know, in Mpumalanga, or you'd go somewhere in Limpopo and say, I just want to be surrounded by like chickens and millies and like, I want earthiness, you
And
know.
nature.
I have glamour all the time.
Yeah.
I have luxury. I have like pretentious stuff. I have like the best of the best. I want to just be like wearing the most casual cut-off little jeans and a bikini top and just,
Amazing.
you know, relaxing, and where the expectation on you is so little, you know. And funny enough, relaxing also is entertaining, like my closest, you know, I love that.
Yeah.
And again, my husband, Andrea, will say, like, Vix, you got like a Sunday off, don't you want to chill? I'll be like, no, everyone's coming over and I just want to like sit with my loved ones, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, certainly travel, that feeds my soul. I don't know that it's relaxing because I'm always trying to like work out
See
where the
this
things are. Yeah,
and get
sightseeing.
inspired.
Exactly. You know, just, I don't love shopping, but I love to see like the local kind of crafts. So I'd always love to find a craft market, and I want to see the produce. I love a farmer's market.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter where I am. I was in Mozambique. I'm like, right, let's go look at like what is here, you know. So yeah. But also, as I've gotten older, just a little bit more of downtime. So in the morning, I try and start kind of with a bit more wellness and a bit more peace before I get onto that Instagram.
Yeah, so
That's also relaxing, to be honest.
sometimes it is,
Yeah.
sometimes not.
Sometimes not, exactly. It quickly turns into like business. I'll be scrolling to relax, and then I'll be like, oh, that's a nice new supplier. Let me make a note of that, you know.
That's why I was asking, are
Yeah.
you ever not working? So even in
Not really.
in the
I'm
moments
usually
where you
working.
shouldn't be working, it's very hard to resist.
Yeah.
Oh, let me just get inspiration. Let me just
Yes.
see what's out there.
Yeah.
Let me see what everyone's doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I've tried to curb it though a little bit, and I'm trying to like not send everyone stuff at like 3:00 in the morning when I see it, you know. So it's fun though. It's a lot
It
of
is fun. It is fun. I think it's a consequence of doing work that you genuinely love. You get
Exactly.
so like sidetracked and you end up working all the time
Exactly,
because
and you know
every
that
day is
too.
nice.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's exciting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's exactly that, is that if you don't find what feeds your soul, keep looking.
Keep looking.
You know, there's so much there. And it doesn't have to be what everybody else thinks you should be doing. Because when you find what you should be doing, it will embrace you and encompass you in everything. so that it doesn't feel like work. And there's just so much flow, you know. And funny enough, your question about, you know, who do I admire and who would I want to have for dinner? I was like, do I think of a sports person? Do I think of like whatever? And they're amazing. I mean, we did the return of the rugby champions with a phenomenal event company. So we handled only the catering side.
That's amazing.
And what I loved about that was just seeing the camaraderie of all of South Africa coming together with that. But what's important there is, back to my point of the sport, is, oh my God, is cooking a sport? It is like everything.
It actually kind of
strenuous, you know. It is organizing yourself. It's working as a team. It's being able to pass the baton to somebody else and trusting that they're going to take that dish and make it perfect.
Everybody has a position to play.
Exactly.
And if they don't do it right, then the team's screwed.
Then we're all screwed.
Is.
You know, and there's the actual physical fitness to be able to work. And again, I'm so grateful for that health and fitness. But you know as well as I do what it takes. Back, feet, neck, you know, mental. So, oh my God, is that a sport? So yeah, that's what I need a sports person on my dinner list. That's fine, we do it.
Yeah, yeah. So for someone that's young, they know Vicky Crease. They follow Vicky Crease on Instagram. They are obsessed with you, and in their young little minds, can't imagine. Where do you even go? How do you even start to begin to build a brand, a business that is like Vicky Crease? What would you say? I mean, in hindsight, knowing what you know now, what would you say would be like the steps to take to hopefully get you there?
So I want to see people doing amazing things. And I think the first step is really to educate yourself. It doesn't need to be formal education. It's really, firstly, finding and convincing yourself of what it is you want to do. And I was thinking about this. I thought, even if you do one thing really well, like you make the most incredible meringues, for example, or you've got a recipe of scones that your granny passed down and they're just so brilliant, and you know that every time you share those scones with anybody, they're like, that is it, okay? Take that commodity and build on even just that, right? Because from that, you can grow. You need to really, really be so committed that it's everything if you want to get very successful. So there are no hours. It's going to be day and night. And the biggest thing is the confidence. You've got to believe, even if at times I've had doubts. I've had imposter syndrome where I thought, am I really this good? Like, especially, you know, earlier. And even, you know, like now, and people are saying, well, will you, you know, do this massive project? I'm like, you know, and then I'm thinking, of course I can.
Of course you can.
I mean, my mother's voice is like ringing here, and she used to say to me, nobody can do it better than you. And I'd be like, okay, mommy, if you said so. No, really. It was like, if my mom said so, then it must be true.
Yeah.
And as I started like kind of doing more stuff, I'd phone and say, Mama, you know, now I've got 100 people. She says, nobody can do it better than you, Vicky. So I'd be like, okay, right. Oh. And then I remembered we did a huge wedding in Nelspruit. No. It was like 1,500 people. And I phoned her and said, Mama, I'm sure someone can do it better than me. And she goes, Vicky, nobody can do it better than you, and you're going to do it. And I was like, I'm going to go out there and do it. Of course, there was a lot of planning and a lot of, you know, logistics that went behind it. But I think what people need to do, youngsters, they must not be scared. We live in a time that there is just so much anxiety. There's so much confusion. There's just too much. And they need to just think, I'm really good at meringues.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go and package them. I'm going to go online and look. You need to educate yourself. And you need to believe that those are the best meringues. And you need to approach people. Don't be scared. This is the biggest thing, is that you cannot have fear. Fortune favors the brave, right? So
100%.
That is for me, you know, the biggest thing. And you will get some doors that are slammed in your face. And you will also get doors that are open so wide that when you come with the goods, people will believe you. If you believe in yourself.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So now answer me this.
More stuff. More difficult stuff.
What would you say was that moment where you kind of knew, okay, I've made it? Or
Have I made it?
Maybe not made it. But yes, I am a master at what I do. Yeah, I really am good at what I do. What was that moment where you just knew?
That is the toughest question you've asked me this whole interview. I think when we started kind of getting more high profile clients, and people started saying, I really like what you do. I don't want to say that I can pinpoint it to a time where I was like, oh, I've made it.
Yeah.
Because I, deep down, I'm quite humble, even though I present confident, I am confident. But I like to maintain an air of humility as well, and not say I am the master. Living in a home surrounded by my mother on the one side, my sister on the other side. We've got like a little lekotla as well. It's like a little kraal, it's cute. Like a family. We call it the compound. When we started getting a lot of bookings and a lot of trust, and when they came with the TV show, I was like, at that point, I was like, hey, well, maybe people are wanting to see it. Maybe I'm pretty good at this. There's still so many dreams, so many dreams for the future. But I really am at the point now where I'm doing what I love.
I love that.
So, yeah, I don't know if I've answered the question, but I feel like
you have.
There were a couple of moments like that. I think like when 10 years ago, when the Royals called and said, we want you to do it, I was like, geez, okay, that's exciting. We must be pretty good, Nelson Mandela, I mean, when he was alive, we did a couple of events for him as well. And sadly, his funeral too, catering, the union buildings. But, it's a slow thing for me. It was a slow transition to realizing that we are good. But I also don't take for granted that if you don't work at it, you're not always going to be good. So I don't want to be a has-been, and I don't want to be someone that was really great but is not current or relevant or still in love with what I do, And I think that is, to me, the biggest lesson is just to keep designing, reimagining, and, making... Evolving, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, that's my favorite question to ask women, because I do love that women are humble, we down to earth, but I also love for women to shout it from the mountains. Yes, I am. To
be a sayer, right?
Yeah, I am good at what I do, and I'm not lying, and I have stuff to back it up.
Correct.
So, Vicky, you really are good at what you do.
Thank
you
you.
have built this brand. You've built it big and strong. Your name is synonymous with excellence, with everything that is beautiful.
Our awards have been amazing too. I think, getting... That's probably one of the big highlights as well, is winning Caterer of the Year. Amazing. Twice in 1 year last year. That was a point where I was like, geez, we must be good here and internationally,
Amazing.
And then also... traveling and representing Africa and South Africa. Because I remember when we first started going and looking at our awards and things like that, I thought, how am I going to compete with the Americans? They're doing all these phenomenal things in Hollywood and New York. And when I saw this stuff, yes, it's amazing. But so are we, so are we. We have such amazing, incredible energy in South Africa. And we're doing a lot of work internationally now, which also, I suppose, is testament to the fact that we are doing great things. Beautiful destination weddings all over Europe and Mexico and South Africa, so much here. Obviously, this is our homeland. But I think those are those moments that are iconic.
That's amazing. Well done, girl.
Girl, man.
You did it. So tell me about the challenges along the way. It can't have been smooth sailing, but what are those challenges?
Challenges are many, and we have learned so many lessons. I think specifically for a caterer, the biggest challenge is not working in a standard location. So for a restaurant chef that walk in every day, your pots and pans are in the same place, your spoons are hanging where they should be, your knives are sharpened, your water is running. For caterers, It's the
different
complete
ball game.
opposite.
Yeah.
We often get to locations where we don't know even where we're working, and clients assume that we will just make it happen, and that's not always the case.
I can imagine.
Huge challenge.
Yeah.
Rain, obviously, you're in a restaurant, but you're inside the restaurant. With rain, with any type of wind, with,
Extreme heat.
Extreme cold.
Yeah.
I remember one event where the dance floor actually just floated away and we had hail. We were like brushing the hail away.
Oh my God.
There are so many very challenges, lots of challenges. You have to have a sense of humor. Like you cannot crack. You got to be like, oh, wow, okay, this just happened. And be able to be adaptable and take it in your stride and quickly make a plan. And the biggest thing is as well is that the show must go on. And I think a little bit of my acting background, which is I loved acting at school. And I just love, theatre and what have you. But the show must go on.
Every time.
So the fact that you, Vicky Crease and team have had this big drama is not their problem. Because right now,
don't bring it to the
here are
client.
500 people arriving in their best, clothing, and they want an event. So it is challenging. You really need to inspire, but you need to inspire from the front and just really get that broom out. And if you know me, I love sweeping, right? I really do. I find it so relaxing. So I'll be like doing stuff, keeping things clean, and you have to lead by example.
Yeah.
It's the only way you're going to, get respect. So those are the challenges. Financial, COVID. I mean, wow. That was literally nearly 2 years of saying there's a break on any type of gathering. That hurt me deeply. Like also because I couldn't offer enough employment to my team. Yeah. That it was really a really hurtful time. But then rising up from the ashes after that and how we've come back. I mean, how South Africa, the industry's bounced back, where now we can hardly breathe, with events coming in. Yeah. People wanting to gather, people wanting to socialize, brands pouring into South Africa and saying, look at us, look at Africa. And I'm saying like, there's such a bright future.
Absolutely.
And so many challenges. I mean, you could have stuff that, has frozen, that you've suddenly got to make a plan. You need to improvise. You've got to be creative, not only in the creative gewone way, but in the creativity of being able to change a recipe quickly,
So
running out of something.
You need to know how to damage control.
God, all the time. We are professional, firefighters.
Absolutely. Putting out fires all the time.
People, I mean, we had an event many years ago at the Reserve Bank, and it was 1,200 people. And on the day, a lot of the waiters didn't show up. I had 2 huge 60-seater buses to take the waiters out. And I think I had like 30 waiters.
Shucks.
Yeah, there was just like, I don't know what happened on that day. And we did it. We made it work. And it was like, guys, we're just going to have to pull those sleeves up. And like, instead of 1 table each, we're going to do like 5 or 10 tables each. And it was like, no problem, got this,
That's amazing.
Yeah.
But I guess that's testament to the leader that you are, for your team to be willing to go that extra mile for you. So kudos to you, girl.
Kudos, girl.
Yeah.
It's that bossiness, that lawyer, that ex-lawyer that was in me that I was like, right, guys, we're going to do this and this is how we're going to do it. Yeah. And sometimes you make up stuff along the way.
You have to.
And this is the thing, is we're talking about young entrepreneurs that are wanting to do it. Nobody has all the answers. I didn't. I still don't. I have a lot of experience. So I can kind of see where the pitfalls are going to be.
Yeah.
But certainly, nobody knows. It's like parenthood. You don't know, but you have to make it work and make the best of it. You can't be sloppy. You can't be a chancer. But you have to really, put the effort into it and believe in your soul that it's going to work.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
This has
much.
been so incredible to chat to you. And in closing, I'm going to ask one final question. With all the success behind you, what would you say is your next goal? What is the next frontier that you want to take on? What can we expect from Vicky Crease?
So a lot more international food experiences. Now, I mean, since our conversation, definitely the book.
Yes.
I mean, that would be it. And just
I'm going to hold you to it.
I'm
so
down for it. Here I am.
Yeah.
If and when this happens, I'm going to be like, who's taking credit for this? Is the unlazy Makoti. Because you are so dynamic and you're such a massive inspiration. And then obviously just really inspiring, carrying on inspiring. That's a big goal.
Yeah.
Beautiful travel. I think these are always goals, but simple stuff as well.
Yeah.
You know, time with family also. It's not unlimited, you know.
True.
Beautiful people connecting with soul sisters like you. So, yeah, these are my goals.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining us
Thank you.
today. This was so lovely. And I'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. This has been Chefing Beyond the Kitchen. Hope you enjoyed this conversation. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you on the next one.